to the page that I manage. Hello, can you see me still? Can you see me? Can you see me? Okay, I want to make sure that we are on our web, on our page now. We I want to make sure so that before we started, I'm asking so that they respond to me. Okay, it seems like we are. She's typing to me to let me know. Hello, people on the Facebook. Can you hear us, please? Can you make me a motion? Hello. Are we on Facebook? Let us hear and let us start. Hello. Let me see if we are live on Facebook. Okay, we have the thumbs up. We are live on Facebook. Thank you very much, all of you audience. I'm so sorry for the delay, but you know how we do everything. We want to do it with excellence. So now, without further ado, we're going to start this live show. Hallelujah to the King of Glory. Hallelujah to the King of Glory. Hallelujah to the Lord of Almighty, the great I am, the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. We are in today with another treat for you. And without further ado, I'm going to start this live show by giving shout to the King of Glory and the Lord of Lords. Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Ambassador Veronique Lawson, coming to you live from our local studio right here in Savannah, Georgia. And on behalf of Mamlaka Brokers Network and how we affectionately call it MBN, we would like to say thank you and welcome for tuning in today for another edition of Real Talk Show. And today you are in for a treat. We are joined by two panelists all the way from the beautiful nation of the Netherlands in Holland, Europe. Sorry, our panelists are business mogul Matthijs Greevink. Did I pronounce your name very well? And business mogul Stanley. They will be discussing about the minefield of most expensive diamond in the world. Where is it located? And how easy it is accessible to whomever wants to make it real life and 100% free risk. Did you hear that word? 100% free risk. Please allow me to introduce these two business moguls by their own biography. Business mogul Stanley, affectionately called Pastor or Proctor Stanley, is a father of two sons, 10 and 8 years old, and he's happily married to his beautiful wife Danielle for more than 15 years. Wow. Sir Stell was born and raised in the Netherlands from a German father, descent, and a mother from the small island in Indonesia called Maluku. Did I pronounce it well? Thank you very much. Sir Stell and his brother are business owner of a roofing companies. His day-to-day life's responsibility is taking care of the great and beautiful minefield called Ameldo Kingdom Center. Alongside Proto Matthijs Greevink and his beautiful wife Sharon Greevink and a great team of staff, their single focus is to expand the message of that minefield called the Kingdom of God. Ameldo Kingdom Center is an affiliation of MKCC and has as administrator Dr. Pepe and Dr. Angela Ramna. And now, please give a shout out to our business mogul Stanley. Business mogul Matthijs Greevink is a husband of Sharon Greevink and father of two beautiful daughters, Leonora and Louise. owner of construction business, which focuses on home extension and home remodeling. His wife Sharon works at the hospital as a planning coordinator and recently started a business in girls' clothes. Wow. Sir Greevink and his wife assist Proto, Stanley, and Daniel as co-ecclesiastists at Ameldo Kingdom Center. Together with a great team, they are working on bringing people back to the only message the Rabbi Jesus taught, which is the message of the kingdom, and to make people acquaintance of their purpose in life. They are blessed to have as administrator business mogul Dr. Pepe and Dr. Angela Ramna, and also call them their parent. Wow, that's beautiful, 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 beautiful. So sit back, pull out your notepad, your constitution, and hear for yourself what our panelists has to tell. Do not hesitate to text your question or comment in the chat below. So now, without further ado, and one thing I will ask for you is buying a share in this media business by circulating this broadcast with your friends and relatives. This is how you could become a very billionaire in this minefield called the kingdom of God. Now, the floor is yours.
Good evening, family around the world. It's a privilege to be again on the program. Ambassador Veronica Larsen, all the way from Holland. Right now it's in the evening, but I know around the world people are gonna see the program back on different occasions during the day. Again, it's a privilege to be on the program, and it's an honor to share something about our life, and what the title also said, that we have discovered something really special. And that is what we're going to share tonight. It's also what you said is, I just want to share today a couple of thoughts. I just want to drop a couple of thoughts where we can go. And I want to challenge all the listeners to, when I share the thoughts, that the listeners gonna ask some good questions. You know, when Jesus was speaking against the multitude, he spoke in parables, but behind the parable there was the mystery. And we live in a society, especially in the world, where people want to be, and Holland we say quick fix. We want to have it quickly, but that doesn't work in the kingdom. And that's why Jesus hides the truth in a parable. But he made one promise to us all, that the mystery of the kingdom is revealed to you. But that revealing, that going after, means that you have to seek the kingdom. Seeking means you have to explore, you have to find, you have to make room for it, you have to make time for it. And that's why tonight we don't want to drop everything. We just want to drop some thoughts, because we want to challenge our listeners to seek the kingdom. Because when you seek the kingdom, you will find the pearls, you will find that diamond where our ambassador was talking about. I just want to share something about my life, our process, because when the word was made flesh, the word that says in John that Jesus was a fulfillment of the prophecy in the Old Testament. And I believe that everybody is an open letter, a prophecy, because what the word of God says, that God has written our lives in a book. So the purpose that God has already placed in us, the future that God already placed in us, is in every one of you. So tonight we just want to inspire and release some thoughts. Just what you also mentioned, we are pastors of our church, Ameldo Kingdom Center, and we pastoring the church with a great team. We start during the COVID-19, but we see a lot of expansion about the kingdom. Next to that, we see that we are business owners, and even in the time of where worldwide is this pandemic, we see our business growing. And we know that this growing of our business was not just being lucky or just being faithful. It's about principles that we apply. So that is what I want to start. First of all, what I want to start, the first thought I just want to release is that God put us here on the earth, and in Romans says that the earth is growing in pain. And if you study that scripture, and that the creation is waiting, the word creation is a really interesting word. It means actually that it means the maker and everything that flows out of the maker. If I give you an example, when God created the earth, he made the forest. But in the forest, there is a chair. In the wood, there is a house. In the wood, there is a paper. And that is what I mean. God already placed everything on the earth. Because when he said, I give you dominion, it means that we have to dominate the earth. But dominating the earth, you have to be heavenly focused. Because that's why Jesus said, seek my kingdom, what is in heaven, and bring it to the earth. So when you want to discover what is on the earth, you have to focus on the heaven, because there is the creator. And when you focus on the creator, then you will see opportunities in the creation. And that is one of the keys that the enemy knows how it works. That's why I always said, I challenged my team, I said, if the iPhone was invented by an ambassador of the kingdom of God, what kind of influence should we have here on the earth? If Coca-Cola was invented by an ambassador of God, what kind of influence we had on the earth? Coca-Cola was developed with all the materials was already here on the earth. iPhone, same. But people had a mindset, they had creativity and put it together. But all the products that are in iPhone or in Coca-Cola was already on the earth. So everybody if we live in a society, and especially here in the West, where we are really laid back and we think, okay, it's coming. But when you live in the kingdom, you have to seek. And first you have to tap in the creator. We go to work from 9 to 5. I just had a meeting with another business, and they are really in developing other businesses on the scale of people management. So develop some programs. So I asked him a question: who ever told us that we have to work from 9 to 5? Who invented that? That is a thought where you have to think about it. Who invented that we have to work under a boss? Who already invented it, It's a thing where you have to think about it. And he couldn't not answer my questions. So I said, this is a system where we lived in, and actually we keep people in slavery because maybe they have good job descriptions, or they have a good payment, or they have maybe a good how do you say that for others? They have good
Pension
I don't
plan,
know.
pension plan.
Yeah, all that kind. So what it makes people think like a slave. So they are not creative anymore. And that's why people stay in that kind of mode, in that kind of situation. And especially in Holland, they are really good in that. And when you ask them question, because I did it around me, I said, if you can choose in your life to do something else, would you do it? And 90% of the people said, yes, I'm gonna do it. But why they don't do it? Why they stay in the same living where they always had done every day? They get up at 7 o'clock and come back at 5 o'clock, sleep, eat, and then go back. And maybe on Sunday, when they are a Christian, they go to church. And that is their life. Everything is predictable. Everything is so ordered arranged. So like the Israelites, they were in Egypt, everything was arranged for them. You didn't have to worry about where to sleep, because they live in houses. They don't have to worry about food, because they had their food there. But they work every day in slavery. But when you discover the kingdom, something else start to involve in your life. It has to evolve in your life. And that is when you are in touch with the Creator. And I think that we are on a point in our lives where we have to reshape this model, especially in the world of business. Because when you are a business owner, it adds creativity to look in the future. Because if you live in the future, you can dominate the now and the future. You have influence. But how do we treat people under us? Do we challenge them? Do we inspire them? And that is a lot of challenges because we live in a system where we are not allowed to be creative, to be allowed to think for ourselves because our paychecks are good. So that is a couple of thoughts where I really just want to drop to the people. So my question is to the listeners outside, and especially to the ambassadors. What is your purpose? What is the thing that God put into your life? Because when you're gonna walk into your purpose, people are gonna be set free from the system. And maybe you locked in and you thought, okay, we're gonna talk about money. We're gonna talk about nice things. Maybe have a Porsche or a Lamborghini, how you can buy that, or maybe have a good salary. I'm not against a Ferrari or a Porsche or anything of that. But there is a layer under it. What is your motivation? Joseph had it really good in Egypt. He was the second man in Egypt. He didn't lack nothing. But in him, there was something different. He looks like an Egyptian, but inside there was something different. And that was purpose. It was the Spirit of God. He was there by assignment. And that is the focus point of finding that where you were born. Because when you discover where you are born for, then God gonna give you, seek my kingdom. And don't worry about tomorrow, because all the things gonna be added to you. When we make our plans for our business, we said, okay, this is our vision for the future. And Jesus never said to his disciples that we have to pray for money. Never pray for money. But release your plans. The word of God says in Proverbs 19 that many are the plans in man's hearts, but the answers is from the Lord. So what we did, we made plans because said, Lord, to advance your kingdom, advance the vision, we have to release also the money flow. So we started business. Actually, not only me, Matthijs, but many of our board members have their own business. And what you see is God has started to flourish because we believe in the principle like Paul. He was an apostle, but he was also a tent maker. And because he was tent maker, he has a lot of influence. Because when you were tent maker in that day, you had a really important position. It was not just like normal clothes what we have, but you had influence in high society. You had influence in people that were in positions where he as normal citizens never could come. And that is what I believe. But if you study church history, when in the great, how do you say that, revival, what we called when the church started to lose from the Catholic, and in Holland, Calvin was one of the reformers that was standing up. He said that poverty is a sign of humility, but it's a lie of the devil, because there's nothing. Because the Bible says that the love of money God hated. Not money, the love of money. So we have to separate that again. We have to unleash that lie from the body of Christ. And we have to bring again truth. Because nothing frustrated when you have vision, but no money. There's nothing frustration than that. You have plans, but you have no resources. So this is a season where I really believe that God wants to release everything together, that you are creative and that you can work out your vision, and you can release people under you where they will come with plans and vision. He says, okay, this is your vision. Here you have the money. Go for it. And that is a couple of thoughts that I really want to release. And I know Matthijs is going to give you some other keys to some other thoughts.
That's awesome. 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 Wow. Awesome.
So
I can't wait to hear. I can't wait to hear what business mogul Matthijs is saying. Have to say, because what business Stanley still just download onto us today, it just take the people out of that mindset of religious and tradition and church doing nothing into that real business-minded people, that mind field of God's kingdom. The floor is yours. The floor is yours, business mogul Matthijs.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for being on your show, Ambassador. I'm delighted to be here and to share something. Just like Stanley, actually Stanley is a good friend of mine since childhood. I actually came to know the Lord through Stanley, and it's a whole story on itself. But you know, I got to know the Lord when I was 18 years old. So it's over 20 years right now. And I've seen that life is a journey, and especially discovering the kingdom is a journey. I've discovered in my life, like I said, I was 18 years old when I got to know the Lord. You know, suddenly, you know, I got saved. My eyes were opened. It was like, wow, you know, what I've been doing before. I mean, if I knew this before, wow, you know, now I have the Lord and I'm full of the Lord. And then you go into church, you get taught, and you go on a journey. And actually, it kind of sneaks in, like really sneaky. It's like always I had that thought I still had to earn God's favor. I always had to please God, and kind of work for it, and it kind of tired me. So but you know, I was thinking, you know, I just have to do really hard, I have to try really hard, and even though they preach something different, you know, but still always. And I just worked in construction. I started as a brick mason, and that was my vocation. I still do that. So, but anyways, I remember that I was 19 years old. I was a Christian, or saved for 1 year, and I was working on a job, and I was breaking out a door, you know, with an iron and with a slash hammer, and I had to fix it again. So I had to put an old one out and put a new one in. And suddenly I that was the first time I really heard the voice of the Lord, like so clearly inside of me. And he said, you are called to break down and to build. And I was doing that with my hands, but now I said, oh wow, this is, you know, but I had no idea what it meant. But I never wrote it down, but I still remembered it. So that was something God deposited in me, but I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know, because I always thought, you know, just work and do your best, and, you know, maybe God is going to open up a door. I was always waiting for God to do something. And it kind of, like what you said, it kind of made me in a mode like, well, I just have to wait on the Lord. And you know what? I was waiting and waiting and waiting, and not much happened. You know, I kind of had a, you know, I always had in my, when I was a child, I always wanted to start my own business. I didn't do well in school. I could learn. That was not a problem. It was just, I didn't know what for. I had no idea, but I always had something. I want to have my own business. So I remember one time, and my father, I love him so much, and he's a great parent. And I told him, I was 9 years old. I said, Dad, I would like to have my own shop or something when I grow up. Well, he said, but then you have to learn. You have to go to school, and I didn't like school. So yeah. So I was a boy, I rather play outside and all that. And so it kind of held me back. Oh, I have to learn. I don't like learning. So all those dreams as a little child. As a child, you have great imagination. You have dreams, but when you grow older, life and circumstances and what people tell you what you are and what you aren't, they are gonna form you, and you kind of decide for yourself, well, that's probably not for me, because I'm not a good student. I don't have the money. I don't have the right. I'm not from the right family, or I'm not from the right area. Where we are from Holland, we live in the east, and how they call us farmers, because we have a certain accent, and in our part of Holland there are a lot of farmers, so they kind of they look down on us, kind of. So that was kind of something. All those things together, they kept you small, and like we're talking about humility, like the wrong kind of humility, like just like being, don't think too much of yourself, don't think too high. All those thoughts, they were just wait upon the Lord. The Lord is gonna has to do it, and yes, of course. But I was going. I was doing this for years and years. I went to Bible college in 2003 and 4, and I remember I wrote it down in my Bible. I had a really hard time, and that was the first time God really spoke really clear to me. Matthew 6 verse 33. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all the other things shall be added unto you. And it just, when God speaks, it just hit me like whoa. But okay, I have to seek the kingdom. So, and this is 17 years ago, 18, yeah, 17 years ago, the first time. And it just, but I didn't understand. So what is this? What is the kingdom? What is it? And I didn't see I was trapped in kind of religion, always trying to please God, always trying to do my best, but not, I have to wait on the Lord. And it was kind of a struggle. And then Stanley's brother, and I think Stanley talked about him the last time, he kind of came up with Dr. Miles Monroe. You got to listen to this man. He has a message. And it was in 2009 that I first heard him. And I was like, yeah, sounds good. Sounds great. There's something different about him. But, okay. But, I just went on, did my thing. My life didn't change much. I just did my work. I still had that desire, to start my business. I knew God had things for me, but I was just, I don't know. It's just, for me, it just didn't, well, I had to wait on the Lord, and the Lord didn't do anything. So, okay, probably it's not for me. So it was kind of, it was very frustrating. It was frustrating. And then in 2015, it was 2015, yes. So 6 years from now, his brother, Maurice, he came up to me again. He said, Matthijs, I got something. I discovered something new, something we've missed for years. I said, okay, so tell me. So I said, come visit me, because I haven't seen him for a couple of years. And I said, okay, I'm going to visit you. So, and he told me, and he showed me he taught me the teachings of Dr. Miles about the kingdom, and how he discovered the kingdom, how he discovered his purpose, and how to unlock his that purpose, and to unlock all those dreams and visions God gave him inside of him. And I saw in his life that it worked. I was like, whoa, this is what I've been looking for. So this is what I've been looking for. I knew it, but I did not quite understand it like at the first time. It took me, I think, more than over a year that I finally had something like, oh yeah, this is it. Because I start studying, I start seeking. You know, I say, I want more of this. I want more of this message, the kingdom of God, the only message that Jesus preached. So and I start studying and say, yes, indeed, this was the only thing Jesus preached. So when I start studying it, and I was downloading it, and I had to pursue it. And I remember that you might know him, Hubert from
Yes.
from
From Rwanda.
Rwanda.
From Rwanda.
Yes, we followed Trista Sue. She had webinars a couple of years ago, and Hubert was on there, and we heard that he came to Brussels in Belgium, and Belgium is next to Holland. So Maurice said, you know, Hubert is going to Brussels, and you know, I want to ask him to meet him. I said, well, yes, because I know he knows more about the kingdom, and so we took a 3.5-hour drive. He said, I want to meet this guy. I want to, you know, we were hungry, we were in pursuit, we were seeking for the kingdom of God. And I remember that when I tore my Achilles, I tore it. So I had to be in a cast for a couple of weeks. And actually for 2 months, I was at home. And I did nothing else than seeking the kingdom of God. I did nothing else than reading books, watching YouTube, watching Miles Monroe, watching Dr. Martin Williams, all those people. And suddenly it was like, bam, I think this is it. And it took me like maybe 9 months, but and you know, when I finally found it, it kind of was like, you know, I always wanted to start my own business. I never did it because I was always waiting for God to open up a door, but it was already inside of me, and I didn't know. Well, I knew, but I didn't know how to unlock it, and I was always waiting for kind of like for the brilliant idea to start my own business in, and it didn't come. So, and I just said, what's inside of me? What are the skills that I've developed over the years? What can I do to start my own business? I can build houses. That's what my skills are. That's what I can do. So I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to start my own business because I want to take dominion over my life. I want to be in charge of my life, and I want that what is inside of me. I want the world to see it. I want the world to see God through that. I want to manifest the kingdom through that. So suddenly I started taking action, you know, and when I started taking action, I saw that God followed and he came alongside. I remember the first couple of weeks, I didn't have work. I'm going to start my own business. And I remember I had one job, and after that I didn't have any work anymore. I was sitting in my car. I was like, next week I don't have work. So you know what? I start praising God. Say, God, thank you for work, because you told me to start this business, and I want to thank you for work. 5 minutes later, 3 people called me. I have a job for you. I have a job for you. I have a job for you. So, and all those things, you know, it was kind of a journey.
It's
And
orchestrated.
yeah, all orchestrated. But you have to put it in motion, because God has put it already inside of you.
I love that
But you
word.
have to take action.
I love that word. Put it in motion. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. So, and that's a journey, and that's something I want to give to people who are watching. It's, you know, it's no more. Time for waiting is over. You know, you have to take action. You have to put in motion what's inside of you, and then God comes alongside. You know, God has already put it inside of us, and it's like what Stanley said. It's like the people of Israel. They came out of bondage, went through the deserts. In the desert, they, you know, you got provided. They got their shoes didn't wear off, their clothes didn't wear off. They got food, they got water, they got everything. But then, when they stood before the Jordan and had to take over and to go in to the promised land, they had to pick up their weapons themselves and fight, and God will be with them. So, and I believe That's what we have to learn, to take action, to work with the gifts, the talents, and the dreams that God has put inside of us. And sometimes, you know, we may fail, but that's, you know, I see failure as a lesson. I see failure as something, you know, okay, I learn. So if I don't fail, you know, if I don't fail, it means that I don't undertake. So I rather fail a couple of times, you know, than doing nothing. And so I believe that for everybody that God has predestined, like in Ephesians says, predestined us to do good works, you know, to do the works of God He has put inside each and every one of us. And you know, most of the time those things are, you don't have to really look for them, they're already inside of you. And so you have to look inside of yourself, what God has put in there. So yeah, I just want to encourage the people who are watching, you know, and they're thinking like, I'm waiting. Find something to do. Find something. Find something that God has put in your heart, in your, you know, what makes you angry, and you know what can wake you up in the middle of the night, and you will get up for it. You know, that's something where your passion is. I believe that's something what God has put in your heart to do. So, and then we have to make a step. And I see that God is coming alongside. And if you understand and start applying the principles of God's kingdom, prosperity will come with you. And that's what I have seen, you know, in our business, Stanley, in construction. A lot of people, they, you know, they want to pay you under the table, you know, so you don't have to pay tax. You can make a lot of money, but it's not the kingdom way, because
Wow.
actually you are stealing from the government, you know.
Exactly.
And so, and you know what I've seen, a lot of people who are doing that, they don't, well, they are wealthy, but they don't prosper in every area of life. You know, prosperity is not just wealth; it's just in different areas of life: family, business, emotional, relationships, and all that. So, and I believe when you start applying, you know, the principles of the kingdom, you know, being honest, being true, manage your money in the right way, you know, that God blesses that. And also that is a journey. That's something you have to learn. And sometimes you fail. Don't worry. You fall 7 times, you get back up 7 times. That's what the righteous do. So yeah, that's kind of the journey, you know, where we're in and what we are doing. So I hope I can encourage somebody with this.
Wow, that is awesome, business mugger. Both of you have just downloaded a lot of information for our audience today to try to work with it. And the reason why we actually untitled this real talk show today, business, is because actually we're doing business with God. When we understand that the kingdom of God is the minefield that is filled with all those expensive diamonds, everything that we are looking for in this world is in the kingdom, and then we could trade with God or making business with God, then we are going to actually put in motion all what you just shared with us today. Wow, I was writing. I just kind of say, okay, when am I going to start? When am I going to start? As business, as Mother Stanley says that we have to put the principle of God into motion, just as Paul put the principle. He was a tent maker, and because he was a tent maker, that one gave him influence. And business mogul, Matthijs, is that correct, right? Matthijs Greevink said that time for waiting is over. Time for waiting is over. We have to release what is inside of us, and then God will just walk us along. And then we have not to seek the money. We have to seek the kingdom first. We have to take action on what all those gifts that is laid inside of us. And we have to rediscover the purpose. for which we were born for. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome. So I wanna give back the microphone to business mother Stanley Stell.
Yes. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Loud and clear.
Okay. So we just introduced you to our lives, and so we share some thoughts to the audience that are listening or listening later back. So I hope we have triggered you. And what I say, our focus point for today is to release some thoughts, because we don't want to drop everything. What I just now want to share is actually to the next stage, to the next level of finding that diamond. Because when we are going out, as the program said, we are all ambassadors. An ambassador is a person that is not, how do you say that?
Representing himself. Representing himself or herself.
Yeah.
An ambassador is not one who is representing himself or herself.
Yes, that's right. Thank you so much. So we are ambassadors of Christ, the word of God says. We are ambassadors of the kingdom. So we're representing somebody else. Where we have some difficult, especially I think in Christianity, where we cannot find the success. And I just want to bring you to a passage in the Bible of Jonah. Everybody know Jonah, the story. If you grew up in church, everybody grew up with that story. Jonah was unfaithful. He was grabbed by the whale, and the whale, he was 3 days and 3 nights in the whale, and the whale, he spit him out, and he went to Nineveh, and the word of God says it was a big city of 120,000 people. And when he started to preach, everybody repented in the city. Everybody. You have to think about yourself. What was the success of Jonah? Why does people listen to him? There is a secret behind that. You know, if I go now to the city, I say, repent. The most people said, who are you? You know, if you look to all the success stories in the Bible, is what is my definition of success is just go where the Lord sent you, where Christ sent you as ambassador. What is the first thing that I really want to say? The second principle, what I can teach from Jonah, and what is the success behind this story. If you study Nineveh, what kind of city it was a pagan city. Actually, they were one of the #1 enemies of Israel. So what the Lord really said is go to Nineveh and preach to your enemy. You know, from a human perspective, I can think, you know, I don't want to go there, you know, to my enemy and preach there, you know. But the Lord says, go, you know. But what was the success with Jonah? It was this. If you study the city, then you see there was a couple of pagan gods there. And one of the pagan was Dogon. And Dogon was a god with a small g, a god. He was half man and half fish. And his wife was also half fish. So the culture in the time, they were already worshiping a man that was a god with a small g. It was half man and half fish. You have to think about if you are 3 days and 3 nights in the womb of a whale. How do you smell, you know? How do you? So he came into the city and now he started to preach. I don't know if the listeners is connecting the dots now together. When you go as a business model into this world, the outside language, it has to be the same in the system that you are working in. If you are working in finance, make sure that you speak the same language as the finance world is speaking. If you work in constructions, make sure that you speak the right language as they speak in construction. If you're a teacher and you work in the teacher environment, in schools, learn everything about the system, how it works. Speak that language. And this is how I connect the dot with Jonah. Jonah, when he came, he looks like a fish god. Because if you're 3 days and 3 nights in the womb of man, Joseph had looked like an Egyptian. But what was the difference? It was inside. Their message. Their message was different. And that is why we have to discover what our function really is. We are not only ambassadors, we are kings placed in the systems. And what do kings? Kings dominate. Kings rules, but not over people, but over the system. But what we have done is we go to in our business, in the system where we're working, and we go as priests. We speak the language as a priest. We say the blood of Jesus has cleansed you. And people think, what are you talking about? Or we say, Jesus loves you. And they say, yeah, my mother loves me also. And my sister. But when you start to speak the language, Jesus, when he starts to speak in parables, he speaks in a way, I can show you a lot of scripture, that people recognize, but they not see the whole truth. But it was just enough to make them curious. Jesus never make an invitation that he came to a city and make, okay, the great revival is coming and everybody has to repent. No, it was something different in his message. When he started to speak, the Bible says everybody was amazed, was out of himself, because there was something inside in him. And that is where we have to make the difference. Jesus said, I'm going to send you as sheep under the wolf, And then he says, I hope I say it correctly, because I only know the Dutch phrase of it. But, he mentioned two animals. It was the dove, and the snake. So he gave keys how to work in the system and to proclaim the message of the kingdom. And proclaim the message of the kingdom, communication is not only words. I was so inspired. I saw a couple of weeks ago, I saw an interview with Bishop T.D. Jakes. And they had an interview with him and they asked him a question. Bishop T.D. Jakes, you are a businessman, you have a great church, you speak every week, but now you are developing movies. What is the reason why you're developing movies? Is your schedule, your agenda not full enough to also do this alongside? And then he said this. He said, no. You had it all wrong. God sent me to communicate. And communication is not only behind the pulpit. And if I want to bring my message, I have to pull everything up, everything. I have to pull everything out, every creativity. So if it is behind the pulpit, I preach. If it's a movie, I preach. If it's through social media, I preach. And that is what I mean. This is a season where we have to be creative, where I just started with. We have to be creative again, how to proclaim the message. And that is where, when we started our business, just what Matthijs said, we look to the business. We are not the first one that started roofing in Holland. There were many before us, successful companies. But we had to think, okay, how can we reshape it? How can we manage our company? And how can we put people inside our company and help them and flourish them? And how can we go also in that system, And we see that it's maybe a funny story, but we just started 1.5 years. We started with a small car and we just drove everything around. We didn't have all the equipments, but over 1.5 years, now we have like 3 buses running around with almost 20 people that almost full-time work for us. So we see between 1.5 years, God is really expanding. We see a lot of favor, a lot of contractors started to call. Can we work together? And this I just wonder what Matthijs also said. it's not only seeking the kingdom, but it's also being right standing. And you know, when you're going to start your business, the test will come. I can share a funny story. I was a couple of weeks, I was working, and the owner came to me. He says, I have a small roof close by. It's my vacation house. And can you maybe fix it for me? But I don't want to pay on paper, you know, but just, I want to pay it like in Holland we say black money. Just, and I looked at it. Yeah. I said, you know, I'm sorry. We don't work like that. We only work honest. And then you know what he said? You're right. I'm working for the tax company. How you say it? For the office. So you're right. You cannot do that.
That was the
You
test. That was the test.
That was the test. You know, and I can say after that we see that our business is growing. Right standing is so important. It goes further than money, earning money. It's not about money at all. You know, it's about walking in your purpose. And I just want to inspire, you know, speak the language of the system where you're working. Develop yourself, you know. Why God used Moses? Because he was already experienced in the desert. He lived there for 40 years and God called him back. Go again to your people. But he know how the desert works. And, you know, when he was by the Egyptian, he learned how to write. He learned the skills of writing. So when God says, write the 10 commandments, he already knew it. So developing yourself, when you develop yourself and investing into yourself, the Lord's going to use that. And, you know, religion says, just wait. Matthijs said, wait, and it comes from the Lord. You know, I have some Muslim friends, and they say, if it's God's will, they always say, and I was always thinking, what is the difference between the Christianity and Muslim? Because we say the same. But when you walk into the kingdom, Lord already put everything in us, but you have to discover it and release it, you know? And that is really a couple of thoughts that I really want to challenge the listeners, you know? There's so much more. And I hope after this program, the next best writer will stand up and says, this is always what I'm called to do. Or the new business owner for Apple, or maybe a new phone, I don't know, you know? But I always had it inside of me. Or maybe the new owner for the finance world, I don't know, for banking. And I was inspired, and then I want to give the mic again to Matthijs. I was so inspired last year. I had to read a book. It was an economist from Holland. Yeah, for I know, he has no religious background, but he says the economy is going bad. The cash flow, how it flows, is not the right way. There's a lot of manipulation, and he started to write about it because he's like a journalist, an economist. But he said one thing that is really attracting and really struck me inside. He says, it is not the people that manage the money, but he says, I've seen in history when the churches was not involved anymore in the cash flow, it started to go bad.
Wow.
Wow. He
Wow.
says, I have discovered in history when the people of the church was not involved anymore in the cash flow, how the money had to flow, it went bad. And he says, where's the church? And for I know, he's no religious background, and what really shook me up, I said, man, we have to reshape the system again. But first we have to find the kingdom, because then we are connected with the creator and we know how the creation has to work. So that thought I really want to leave you.
That is so powerful. That is so powerful what you just shared. Business mogul Stanley. We have to reshape this world. Wow, what a profound statement from that writer. I don't know his name, but truly he went straight to the target. Where is the church? Where is the ecclesia? Where are those people who say that they are believing in Christ, praying in tongues, casting out the demon, and doing still nothing? Where are they? That's a challenge that we are having and we are facing in our generation and even in our world today. It's something that we need to ponder upon it, and we could not just let go. We have to make sure that what we're passing down is something that will cause the next generation to stand tall and to dominate, as you just said. And I love the way that you put into perspective the backbone of Jonah, the secret behind Jonah. He first had to be like that, have men, have fish, so that the people could understand his language, so that the people could relate to what he was saying. And so are we today. Wow, 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 wow. And on that note, I would like us to take a short minute break, and we come back to business mogul Matthijs Greevink. I'm sorry to crush your word, but we have a lot of questions coming too. So after the break, then we will go back to you before we get to our question. Thank you very much. So stay tuned. The break, after the break.
Chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and kingdom ambassador. Llamados a demostrar su excelencia en este mundo. Tenemos una misión con un mandato. Mit unerschütterlicher Ruhe und Geduld bemüht eine Welt voll Unsicherheit. Bleibt unser höchstes Ziel, unser König, die große Vorgrifflichkeit zu vertreten.
And making this world that better place to live.
We say we're one in Jesus, but we still fight amongst Christians. But MBN is our mission to spread love and show you pleasure. And we cancel our division, and we hope that you listen, cause my blockers never brings you love and joy and love and joy. We cancel out the noise, and we giving you a voice, give you love and joy and love and joy. We cancel out the noise, and we give you.
Wow, 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 wow. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hello, hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Welcome back. Yes, business mogul Matthijs Greevink. Can you put something into that place? Wow, we are so blessed.
Well, you did pronounce my name pretty well, my first name. I know I have a really difficult name for English-speaking people. You know, I'll try to pronounce it how we pronounce it in Holland. It's Matthijs Greevink.
Okay, let me try.
Yeah.
Matthijs Greevink.
Yes, really good, really good. Yeah. Yeah, we have really hard letters, the G, the R, the K, they're really hard to pronounce, but anyway. So let's get back to what we're talking about. And as I heard Stanley speaking, I was just thinking about, you know, that many times we think when we think about our purpose in life, and we always think it's inside of the church. We always think, you know, my calling, I have a calling from God in my life, and it has to be in church. You know, I thought like that for many years. I always thought, you know, my calling is in the church. You know, I have to preach in church or teach. I have to do something in church. You know, in order to please God or to fulfill my calling. And I always saw work, or you know, that my vocation. I saw kind of, you know, I have to do it because, you know, I have to put bread on the table. Just real plain like that. So, and I seen that in church, it you know, it can consume all of your time, uh, doing all kinds of stuff in church, doing youth ministry, children's ministry. There's always something to do. There's always a new program to do, you know, and the focus is many times on your calling inside of the church. How can I serve the Lord? And we always think it is inside of the church. And what I've seen, the fruit thereof is, well, if I look back in my life, what's the fruit of all my, let's say, labor in church? To be honest, you know, I've been working and I've been trying, but I haven't seen much fruit. You know, because I was always thinking, because inside of the box, literally inside of those four walls, and until I discovered, you know, that the first thing God gave Adam was work, work in the garden, to how you say it in English, to cultivate and to work the garden. That's what God gave him to do. You know what Stanley said? There were trees, but there were no chairs. There was no, you know, Adam had to be creative and to work in order to eat. In order to do, he had to work, and that was not something bad. And it wasn't. There was a church in the Garden of Eden, and he had to work in church. No, he had to work what God gave him in his creation, and to have dominion over that. You know, and so when I figured out that that when we see Matthew 28, when Jesus sends out the 12 disciples, he says, "Go ye into the world and preach to the world." And we always think preach to the people, but this world is cosmos, and it means orderly system. And to come back to what Stem said, it's the system. We have to preach to the system. And when we look at the news, and it's probably in the US, it's the same as in Holland and Europe. Besides COVID, it's the main news is government, how we govern, and politics. And it's always about those systems that rule a country. And we are, as people, are occupied with actually governing government. And I've seen that when God spoke to go into the systems that which govern, and that the orderly system that will govern the world as we know it, that we have to go in there. And so it's not just preach in church, not just preach in those four walls, but outside those walls, and go ye into the systems and all those systems that make a country. One of the things is what I've discovered is that make disciples of all what people? No,
Nation.
of all nations.
Nation.
So we go back, and God says in Psalms 2, verse 8, ask of me, I will give the nations as an inheritance. So what we see, God is after the nations. So and a nation is governed by systems. It's governed by systems, educational system, health system, business system, political system, religious systems, all those systems that make a society, that make a country. And God says, go ye into the systems, go ye into the world and preach my message. So I figured out that my calling, as I thought always, is not just church. No, I believe I do have a calling in there, but I also believe that God wants me to go into the systems, and for every one of us to go into the systems. And I love the way Stanley said it, like you have to talk the way they talk in that system. So you have to educate yourself in a skill or in a certain system. You have to educate yourself in business. You have to educate yourself in politics. You have to educate yourself in science. You have to educate yourself in health, in order to be of influence, in order to have a voice in this system. And that's not just like what Stanley said, you preach in the system, like you have to repent and you have to, no, you bring righteousness in there, and you bring that which God has given you to do in that system, and to actually to bring the thoughts of Christ, to bring the original idea of that system, of God, into that system. And we see all over the world there's corruption in politics, there's corruption in business, there's corruption in health, there's corruption all over. And I believe that God is raising up a people, and that understand that they are called to go into the systems and to bring righteousness into those systems. And so, but in order to do that, we have to change our thinking, that, everything comes like we have to wait on the Lord. The Lord is going to give me this position, or the Lord is going to put me there. No, if you don't educate yourself, if you don't work, if you don't do anything yourself, nothing is going to happen. So I believe that God has given each one of us a place in one or more systems to operate in, and to bring about, to show God's righteousness and God's way of doing things. I heard a preacher once said, and it really is, what is the kingdom of God? And he said, it's really simply like this: it's God's way of doing things. And I think, yeah, actually, it's really simple. It's God's original idea and God's way of how to do things, how to do business, how to do politics, how to do health, how to be, how to bring righteousness in there. And so I believe, and that maybe there are some people watching, and they thought or think this the same way I did. Like, if I want to please God, if I want to fulfill my calling, I have to do that in church. Well, maybe you should look further than just church. There's a whole world waiting for you. There's a whole world waiting for the sons of God to be revealed. There's a whole world waiting for God's will to be revealed. So I believe that God has put inside of everything and a part of a value inside of you, and one or two or maybe more systems are waiting for you to reveal God's will in those systems. And so yeah, I believe it's time to not focus on those four walls, inside of those four walls inside of church, but the church is a place where we to equip the saints. What to do? What? Not the work of in church, but to do the work outside of church, into the world, into the systems. Church is just one day a week. And if our only work is to do 1 day a week in church, I think we're missing 6 days of a week. So I believe, that the church is there, and we and AKC and our whole team are focusing on. We have a statement: building people, transforming community. So we believe that in everybody, in every person, there's value, there is a calling, there is a destiny in the people, to go out into the world and to bring about change, and to win and to change your community. That's where God has planted you, in the systems, or in your family, or in your business, in your schooling. And so we believe the church is a place to be equipped to do that work. And not the skills that you learn at school, but how to manifest and how to be an ambassador of Christ in the workplace, in the marketplace, in the systems of the world. So yeah, I think we have to change our thinking sometimes.
That is so true. That is so true. And the way you just put it, I just love the way you both business Stell and Greevink put them together so beautifully. I mean, you could not just transform the world by doing 1 day in the week and the 6 week, what we do. So I kind of trying to put together what all you have shared, and before we move to the question, business Stell said that whoever taught us that we have to work from 7 to 5 p.m. Whoever taught us that? And then if we can choose, and then they ask a question by the survey, they say, if we can choose in our life to do something, we will do it. And the answer was yes. But they want to be slave to their paycheck. We are in the point in our life where we have to reshape the model of the society. And this is all about it. Really, if we want to see transformation taking place, if we want to see change, if we want to act as a kingdom ambassador who are building people and transforming the society, we need to reshape the model totally. And then we have to find out what is our purpose. When are we going to live it? Because when we live our purpose, we are actually changing many people's lives at the same. What is our motivation when we go into the business? What is our motivation? And I really, really love the way he put it with what Jesus Christ gave to the people when he was talking about the dove and about the snake. Many people don't want to study the principle behind it. He was giving a great principle. Go and study how the snake functions, and go and study how the dove functions, so that we could actually be able to function in the society where he's sending us to. And in the way that business Greevink said, he says that we have to be he said we have to focus, not only focusing in a church because we think that okay, we have to be doing the business of the church. But yes, we are the church. We have to go out as that representative and represent our king. And then the creator, he is the one who does everything. And I truly love it. And now let us move to the question. There's been a question that what was the sign that the light bulb came on and is related to the change that took place in your life? That's the first question. That is for both of you. I don't know who want to answer that. What was the sign that the light bulb came on as it related to your change? Go ahead.
Yeah, the sign was for me. Let me first this echo. Yeah, I think the sign for I think I can speak both for us, because I know Matthijs really well. It was first that we find the pearl. It was the kingdom of God, because the kingdom of God answers the principles of the kingdom, answers the questions of life. Where are we from? Where are we going? Who am I? What is inside of me? And why we have to bring the kingdom. You know, Jesus said in Matthew 6 that we have to pray that let your will be done. When you study will, it means that the thoughts is put into action. So when you discover the will of God, and that is the kingdom, you understand the thoughts of God, because the thoughts of God is more important than his deeds. You know, we can talk about miracles, we can talk about he is the Prince of Peace, but that is what he does. You know, if you need peace, he gives you peace, but that is what he does. If my child needs shoes, I give him as that as his shoes, you know, but it's not who I am. And when we discover who he was, then you discover also your own, because we are made in his image. So when we started to discover that before, and I say it really hard maybe, but in religion you are really passive, you know, because you think, okay, we have to wait on God and he's gonna open the door, you know. But when we discover the kingdom message, it really activates us, you know. It says about Jesus that he has, in Holland we say lust, he has energy to do his will, you know. And suddenly it's something inside of us, the energy is starting, because you see vision for the future. And what you have seen in the future, you want to live it now, because you know where you're going. And it really discipline and simplify our lives. Before it was really passive. And it really started when we discovered that one pearl that was the message of the kingdom. And then people started to build people around us also. What Matthijs also mentioned, we had met Pastor Hubert, Pastor Dave Burrows. Everybody came to Holland, and we meet them, and it really fired us up, because what we had discovered. So also our environment was now set in place to succeed and to make this step into our lives. And not only for us, but I think also for our board team, like our team where we're working with. Everybody has their own business, what I just told. And everybody was, yeah, this is really where I'm born for. I don't want to work for a boss anymore. I'm born to dominate, and not to rule over people, but to influence the system. And you know, they work on Sunday as a priest, but on Monday till Friday or sometimes Saturday, they are kings in the marketplace. So, and God is doing a great things. I can share many testimonies how they started a business and how they developed their business. Even one of our friends is also in the board meeting. Their wife was sick, and they started a school for sports, for like a gymnastic. And but his wife was really sick. But the Lord said, you have to start right now. And everybody said, the people around it, oh, you're crazy because your wife is sick. But it started. And when they started, favor came. They opened. And even in Corona in Holland, all the gyms have to close, but they are only growing and expanding. And his wife is almost totally healed. It's nothing anymore. And that is what we have seen, you know. The favor is there because now you bring the thoughts of the king you on earth, you know, as in heaven on earth. That is our main agenda. And if you don't know the agenda of God, you miss it. You miss it here on earth. And that is for us our trigger, that we know, okay, we have to release the kingdom here on earth. And that is go into the system and start businesses.
Wow, that's beautiful. The next question is, what were some of the first steps taken? What was some of the first steps taken? That's the next question to both of you.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. Excuse me.
What were some of the steps taken in order to build the businesses and to the point that you are today? But what was the step you took?
Yeah, good question. Well, first of all, my mind had to change. Because like what I said, I always, I had the desires for quite a while. And, but like we were saying all the time, we were just waiting because it was, we were told, you got to wait on the Lord. So, but when our thoughts changed, when we came to the conclusion, and came, what I've discovered, first of all, is and what triggered me most, about the kingdom message, and that was kind of the basic, is like Genesis 1, why God created man and what mandate he gave man. I've always read it, but the main focus has always been on, that man fall in sin, and Jesus Christ came to redeem us just from sin, and that's it. So we can go to heaven. So, but then when we discovered the message, of the kingdom, that what God gave Adam, he gave him kingdom, he gave him dominion, and that is what we have lost as humans. So, but we were never taught it that way. So, and Jesus came to bring this back. So, our mind had to change. That just like, our mind was, first of all, like we just have to wait on the Lord, and we have to do our best and please the Lord, and not make him angry, or don't make any sin. And if you're a sin, you feel really bad, and but that changed, and so the message changed my mind. In order, so it made me see, God has given you an assignment, God has given you gifts, God has given you work to do. So that was the first step. I had to change my mind, and then in order, my way was like, I want to do business, but I didn't know what. To be honest, I didn't know what. So I was kind of looking, and I would drive around, and I would look like we have those industrial areas in every city has an industrial area, and I would drive around, and I would look for inspiration. I would look, what kind of business is this? What kind of business is that? And what can I do? And I was just waiting for God to reveal me, this is it. But for me, it didn't work that way. Nothing happened. So I had to go back, and I was just praying. So Lord, I have this desire, to be in business and to be my own boss, but I don't know what to do. And I just like a small voice inside of me. So what are your skills? What can you do? What work do you do right now? What are your skills? What do you do? What are you good at? Okay, I can build. Okay, so start. So, and it was just like, it was right in front of me, but I didn't see it because I was looking like, oh, I got to do something that somebody else is doing. I got to figure out something new or something. Maybe that will come. But I had to take my first step, because I've always been learned to work under a boss. So, and what that did to me personally, it made me really passive. It made me, somebody told me once, you have to be more assertive. You have to take more action. But in my job site, nobody taught me that. You just do as you're told. So that was kind of my mentality. So I just had to take a small step, do what you're good at, and start your own business. So I just started my own business. I just said, okay, God, okay, I'm going to tell my boss, in 2 months, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to start for myself. And he looked at me. He said, do you have a job already? Do you have work? I said, no. So, but in January, I'm going to start, and I know I'm going to have work. And he looked at me, okay. He said, okay. He said, he said, I'm really sorry you're leaving, and know that if it doesn't work out, you can always come back. I said, yeah, but I'm not coming back. I knew because God had, put it inside of me. It was desire, and just my mind. I put my mind on it. I'm going to do it. And even if I fail, but I'm going to do it. So it was kind of like, first I changed my mind, and then just find something you can do. If you really want to start a business, what are you good at? What are your skills? And you start, you know. And what I've seen, because I started my own business, it has changed my personality and my, how can I say that? It has, yeah, because it was an enrichment of myself, because I learned to be assertive. I learned to take action. I've learned, you know, to move. I learned to do stuff, and that's something I never did before, because I was always waiting. So because I did it, it's put things in motion. Things started to happen, and I grew. I started growing. You know, even in I used to preach in like once in a while a couple of churches, and even in this, I feel like, you know, starting my own business and being my own boss, it just you develop yourself, and you stir up new gifts. Like, okay, I'm good at that too. I didn't know that, because you have to do it because it's your own business. Okay, I can do that. So you get confidence. You get confidence, and so yeah, that's kind of how I started it, and how it developed, and so yeah. But it all started, you know, change your mind, you know, do something that God has given you, skills, or something that's really close to you. And, you know, having a job, for working for a boss is not bad, because you learn. You know, everything I learned at my boss's place, I put in practice right now. So I had to learn it. I had to learn it first, and to do it for myself. So I don't see my time working for a boss as lost time. No, I see it as schooling. I see it as learning. I see it as something that, you know, I've developed skills, and so that's good. And for everything, there's a season. There's a season to you know, to work for a boss, and there's a season sometimes to start your own business. And I just one thing, and then I'm going to stop. It was actually my wife that pushed me, and let me tell you why. Because she saw that I wasn't happy. She saw that I was frustrated, and she saw that every time I had to go to my job, you know, it didn't bring me pleasure. It didn't bring me joy. And she told me a couple of times, "Do you like your job?" I said, "No, I don't like it. I have to get up early. I have to make long hours. You know, I get paid all right. You know, and I cannot be who I am. I cannot be who I am." She said, "You know what? Stop whining and start your own business." and so he who finds a wife finds a good thing, but that's another that's another topic. But I had to listen to my wife, you know, whom God gave me as my helper, and she gave me the last push. And so yeah, that's kind of how it went for me. And you know, it can go either way, but yeah, that was my story.
That's beautiful, 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 beautiful. And actually, what you just shared, it tied to my next question, which was, how does one identify his or her business? And you just put them together without even knowing the next question, how you identify your business. I don't know whether you still want to answer that one. How does one identify his or her business?
I think there's a couple of things where you have to be aware of. First of all, I think for me, the trigger was from us, because you have to know the system, what just Matthijs also was talking about. You have to know about what I just earlier told. If you are called in finance, but you don't know what deflation, inflation is, the Lord don't gonna use you. Actually, what Matthijs just said, we can learn it from Joseph. He was first responsible for the household of Potiphar. He learned that management on a small scale. Then he went to prison, and while he was there responsible for the prisoners, he learned management also there. But after that, through all the management skills and experience, he could experience, and he was involved in leading the country. of Egypt, but he learned it first small. So when you want to discover where you're called for, is first of all, I think where is your most experience are, and where is your passion also, like, and that's actually the second thing. What is the thing that you really, how do you say that, where you actually can work for no money at all, you know? What is the thing that you can go for but not work at all, not pay at all? For example, if you see Nelson Mandela was, his vision was that black and white live together. And actually he was an advocate, you know, he can go to have a good job, but his passion was that color skin doesn't matter anymore, that racism has to stop. And that was his field, his passion, where he worked in. So the first thing is, so where is your experience? That can be a thing. Second is, where are you passionate about? Where is the thing that you really involved in? And the third thing is, you have to discover your work. Work is different than your job. What Matthijs also earlier told is, everybody start with a job, but you have to find your work. Work is your purpose that God really put inside of you. You know, and the future is not ahead of you, but it's inside of you. What I mean is the skills that the Lord really put in you. And sometimes the Lord, when he called you in a field of where you have to walk in, you don't have immediately all the skills, and you learn it sometimes by the way. For us, when we started our own business, we had to learn also some new skills in our character, in practical, in administration. There were some new skills that we had to learn all the way. So, but we know our area where we worked in, but there were also some new skills that we worked in. And the four things I really want to give, if you start in the area where you start in, leave room for creativity. For me, for a practical thing is, once a week I try, or maybe once in the 2 weeks, I try to go to the forest and just release everything what is occupying my mind. Just release, and I just meditate to be in contact with the Creator, because you need creativity, innovation. You need it, and innovation only comes by the Spirit of the Lord. But if you're a slave, we just talked earlier about it, when you are lived by the system, you know, a mark of the system of a slavery is that you don't have time to think. You know, everything is already arranged. But if you are if you make room for yourself in your own mind, so the Lord can speak, so you can be so he can release new things, new innovation ideas, or new creativity. You see new opportunities in the field that you work in. So, and I mentioned it as fourth, but you can also put it in the first place, you know, just make room for yourself into your mind, so the Spirit of the Lord can speak to you. So that is, I think, maybe a more keys, but this is the four things that I really want to give to you.
Awesome, awesome. And I have another question here, which is, say, what are the steps you took after you realized that you had a potential business? What are the steps you took after you realized that you have a potential business? It's for the both of you.
What are the steps? First of all, you have to manage the small things. I just mentioned earlier, we started small, and everything is about management. You know, management in your equipment that you have, management in your the people where you're working with. And we started only like with two other contractors, and we really did it good. You know, you build trustworthy, you build a trust, good relationships with them. They can trust you. And actually, maybe I make a sidestep, but one of the contractors said, you know, you are the only company that we work with that all the times had left all the equipment, because all the other roof companies that we work with, everything is already gone, but you are trustworthy. But it's about management, you know, management, even with the small things. If you manage it good, then the Lord can add other things. And then you started to, you know, if you start with your first payment, for example, it's maybe $1,000, for example, and you think, oh, that is a lot, you know. But when you start to grow, basically, how I look to it, nothing changed, because the cash flow is still the same. You know, if you people working for you, the cash flow is only started to be bigger and bigger. It started maybe with $1,000, and then after a couple of months of years, it's $10,000 or $100,000. You know, it doesn't matter anymore, because you have managed the small things. And if you have that skill to manage the small things, you see that the Lord is started to grow your business, and you can manage also the bigger things. And one thing that I really want to add also, look for people that are smarter and better than you. There's also one thing that's really a key, what I've seen in my business. I work with my brother, and he's really skillful in a couple of things. And I don't want to think about that, because he's really gifted in that area, and he can tell me what to do. And so don't be proud, you know, oh, I can do everything, you know. Search for people that are better and skillful and gifted in areas where you're not gifted, so they can tell you what to do, and not other way around. So I think management and skillful people to grow your business, that is really, really important, what I've seen.
And humility, just what you just added, humility, that, you know, don't be prideful. When you are humble, then you open more for creativity, you open more for the people to bring their own idea, and then you go all grow together. I love it.
Yeah, it's not your business. It's from the king. So you are just we just have to maintain it. You know, we are just responsible, but it's from the king. So
we're just a proto. We are just a proto.
Yeah.
Protos. I think I have a last question here, which is say, why waiting on the law a hard thing to do, which is a hard thing to do, and when did you begin to really understand the kingdom message? Why waiting on the law, which is a hard thing to do, when did you begin really to understand the kingdom message? That's been the last question coming out from the audience.
Sorry, could you repeat it one more time?
While waiting on the law, which is a hard thing to do, when did you really understand the kingdom message?
Yeah, well, waiting on the Lord. Well, when I really started understanding it, it was like I said, it was a journey. When I first heard the message, I said, yes, I hear something different, but but what is different? I couldn't, put my finger on it, but something is different. Things are different, and what I see in our church is that a lot of people come, and when they say that, yeah, it's different, something is different. First of all, we experience the presence of God. We feel at home, and your preaching is different. And well, this may be a little bit too far for myself. When I really started discovering it, it was a journey. It was like God said, seeking. So it was actually it's what I said before, when Genesis 1 was explained, and it was actually Dr. Miles Monroe who explained this, and he said, actually, that what was lost, and I came to bring that back to humanity, that the kingdom that was lost, that was given to Adam, and I will start like it was just about my sin. It was just about my sins, but then it gave another dimension. No, he gave man a mandate, and that is what the man has lost. So, and then I started seeing it in my own life and say, oh, indeed, God has given me a mandate as a human to be an ambassador, to be his representative, so, but it took a while because my old stinking thinking it would always remind me of my sin, my past sin, and even if I made a mistake, I always I would always point it, you're bad, see, you do it again, So, and that held me back. So, and it was kind of the identity that was lost. Adam lost his identity. And when I discovered that God is want to give you the identity back, that was something like, oh yeah, now I got it. And one thing what I want to say, in our church we have we have an elderly lady and a couple of them, and they're in their 60s, 70s maybe, and she took me and Stanley aside. And she's like 30 years older than us, and she said, "You guys are re-educating me again." And she said, "All those years, I've been thinking this religious way, all those years, but now I am, you are re-educating us, and you see the change." In their thinking, and you see the energy coming up, and you see that she's been in church for 6 months now, and what she does, she seeks, and that's the key, seek, and it doesn't come like that. You have to seek for it, and she's seeking it, and she's all the time she's reading books, she's listening to sermons, all related to the kingdom of God. And then suddenly there comes a time, like first it's like, oh, it's something different. But then, it's just like my feeling when I got it, it was like being born again. Although I was born again 15 years before that. But suddenly it was like, oh, I have missed it all those years. I've missed the real message. The message of
it was a real born again.
I was definitely. I was ready to get baptized again. No, but I was just like, it just hit me not just in my mind, in my heart, in my whole being. It's like, oh yes. But it took a while. It took a search, and I had to look and I have to seek for it. And just like the title, we have to seek. It's a search. It's a search for a pearl. It's a search for something, and it doesn't come like that. You have to look for it. Why did Jesus give it to his disciples? In plain words, because they left everything. See, because you left everything. You left everything to follow me, and you gave your all. And I'm telling you how it is, and I'm telling those people in parables. But you are willing to lay aside everything. You are seeking. You are really seeking, and I'm going to explain to you, and I'm going to explain you the mysteries of the kingdom. So I believe that God wants to give us the secrets of the kingdom, but we have to be found trustworthy with it, because we have to be willing to seek, and to maybe to be ridiculed by others. That people say you're mad, or you're wrong, or whatever. But say, no, I'm going to seek this message. I want this pearl. I found it, and I'm not going to let go of it. I'm not going to let go of it, because once I found it, I'm not going to let go of it. And it takes courage. And but that's another story. But anyways, the key is seek. And that's what caused me to find the kingdom of God. Just to say, to lay everything aside. And to be honest, God helped me a little bit, because my Achilles piece tore. So I didn't have any time to work. I didn't have any time to do anything. I just had to sit down. He just gave me like a timeout just to seek him. And that's what I did. And then I found him. It was during my time of sickness. It was during my time of injury that I found the kingdom of God. So we, yeah, that was mercy. Yeah, definitely.
That is so beautiful. Wow. Business stainless steel. You have anything to add on to that? It is so beautiful. Before we wrap up.
Yeah. The last thing I really want to add is that what just Matthijs said is seeking is really the key. And, you know, every involvement that you do, like it's also about timing. We said about the will of God. And I read about a story about Carl Sanders, you know, the business owner of KFC. He was 70 years, I think, he discovered what his gifting was, and that was making chicken, you know. But I read about his business that when his business started, it was not only his gifting that he can make really good chicken, but it was also the right time. Because when he came, it was in a culture where women also started to work. And when women started to work, there was not much time anymore for a husband and wife that somebody gonna cook. So fast food restaurant was really in that time was really a good business to start. So I believe also in timing. You know, when Joseph was settled as the second main man in Egypt, it was the timing of the Lord. And you see that timing is also coming together, but you have to listen. You really have to listen. And you have to be an active, how you say that? You have to be really active in your and listen to attitude to what the Lord is really saying. You know, the word of God says that those who wait on the Lord, waiting is not waiting on a couch and when somebody's calling you. Waiting in the context of the word is really like somebody who's like a runner is waiting until he's released. You wait until, you know, and that is really what I've seen. You have to be
Ready to go.
yeah,
Ready to go.
attitude every time when I go, you know. And what he just said, we came out of the world of construction, so we know the language, we know which people and what to do, and but we also had a plan. We really make a plan, and sometimes in your grow in your business, people gonna give you key persons that really want to help you. But when you don't have a plan or a clear vision, it's like Nehemiah. You know the story about Nehemiah. He was called by the king because he was sad because he heard about Jerusalem was fought. And the king said, "What can we do for you?" And he already had a plan. You know, he already had something clear. So when you go into the world, make sure that you have a clear picture for the future or your vision, what you want to do. Because when these people come, people from influence will come, people with money will come. But if you don't have a clear message about where you want to go or what you want to achieve, you can miss your moment. And so always be active in a way that you see you recognize the open door for that season. So this really want to add what Matthijs said. So
That's beautiful. It's actually what Mamlaka Broadcast Network is doing, because we have to wait for the time, and then we have to go into the field, and we have to actually perpetrate what the kingdom is all about. And just as you both said, that we need to speak the language of the system. So how can we try to dominate the media, Mamlaka Broadcast Network, if we do not understand the media, or if we do not speak the language of the media? It's just so beautiful. And this is why we are actually coming to you live and doing all what we want to do, because we want to change the media system with the kingdom life standing and life and culture. And for that, we need to educate ourselves, and we need to do all to be able to talk as all those people in the world are doing. Mamlaka Broadcast Network is going to be number one in the news media down the road. That's our vision down the road. We're going to have the number one place as a news media. Thank you very much for your great contribution today and your time and everything that you share. And I'm pretty sure that our audience today are very blessed, and they have taken down a lot of notes so that they will going to be able to be that king in the marketplace for 6 days in the week, and that priest in the local assembly just 1 day in the week, so that they could have their debriefing or have their briefing, and they could go out and change the world. Because how much the world needs us, how much we have to represent, how much we have to be that salt, how much we have to change the culture and change the status quo that the people have set in place, so that we could have this world a better place to live. I am just too blessed and honored and privileged to have found you both, and the privilege of your time, because I know that you are very, very busy. That is why business moguls are not just the people who sit around and trying to find out, but you are really busy. And I'm so thankful and grateful for the deposit you actually did today, even into the life of our viewer, even into my life, myself, and even into all our team. The technical team, I would say salute you, and I thank you very much. Okay, for you all, our audience, that is what we have for you today. But before we let you go, be the media evangelist, by the share, by just circulating this broadcast, and so that you will know exactly what it's all about, that how to actually ascend in your position. It is very easy when you tap into your gift, and how you could actually dig and dig and dig in this minefield called the kingdom of God, so that you are going to find the most expensive diamond on this world, and it is available to all of us. So I'm pretty sure that you are going to do it now. You're not going to only wait sitting on the couch, but you are going to wait as a runner who is ready to run. We run the race. Thank you very much. And I'm so thankful. Please say thank you to your whole family in Holland, to your beautiful wife, your children, and all your team member, your staff. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is something that we are going to repeat again, because I'm pretty sure people have to hear it over and over till it change their thinking. Thank you for all of us. On behalf of Mamlaka Broadcast Network, we want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you. And I give you just 1 minute to say a final remark, and that will be it. Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you very much, and for having us. It's been a delight. Yes. So, anyways, I want to thank you for doing this work. You know, because it's like Coach Percy in the Philippines, and it's just we have to redo things. You know, the way you bringing the kingdom of God on the social media and using this media is one way to infiltrate in the systems. And I love this new thing. Well, it's been here for a while, but you know, it's a way of infiltrating the systems. And I want to just be thankful, you know, for inviting us and for sharing our story and you know what God has been doing in our spheres of influence. And I just want to bless you and bless all the viewers, and I want to say thank you and God bless, and keep seeking the kingdom of God and you will find it.
Thank you.
Yes, I also want to thank Ambassador Veronica to be on the program again. It was really a privilege to share some thoughts today on the program about the business, but most of all about the kingdom of God and how you be a king in the marketplace, to how to be a king in the marketplace. I hope that all the listeners from this day are really inspired by the thoughts, and that you in your own private time that you explore the information that we just gave to you. So your business or your purpose, which maybe you still have to discover, but that you see the clear vision that God has for your life. And I pray and I hope from this day on, that from this program, that the new best writers is gonna stand up, the new business makers gonna stand up, the new political people are gonna stand up in every area of society, in every system. That is really our prayer all around the world. So thank again people all around the world, the family, but especially also MBN. Thank you so much. And we really want to bless you. And we know this program, this network is going to be of great influence all around the world. Thank you so much, Ambassador Veronica, and all the team behind you. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. Thank you. We receive those blessings, how much we need it. We receive it and we say, thank you very much. That is all we have for you today. Unbelievable success to go. Unbelievable way to success. How to easily access the minefield of that most expensive diamond in the world. That was a talk show we have for you today. And I'm pretty sure that you've been blessed and that before we let you go, as we always say here on Mamlaka Broadcast Network, all of our team, we say thank you very much. And then we say, Queen salute to you. Wave your hand like this, Queen salute, and we see you at the top where all the eagles are. For we are eagles and we need to fly all together. Until we see you the next time, stay tuned and share the broadcast, share the broadcast, share the broadcast, share the broadcast. Hallelujah. To the King of Kings, Yeshua HaMashiach. Bye-bye.